A millionaire gave a black homeless woman a chance, not knowing he would fall in love forever. Subscribe and tell us where you're watching us from today. Snow was falling heavily outside the windows of Lotto, the fanciest restaurant in Boston. Inside, Julian Prescott sat alone at his usual corner table. He barely touched his steak and kept staring at the empty chair across from him. "Do you need anything else, Mr. Prescott?" the waiter, Thomas, asked while standing nearby. "No, Thomas, just the check," Julian said, loosening his tie. Julian was 45 years old and had everything money could buy. His company handled billions of dollars, he lived in a fancy penthouse, and his face appeared in business magazines. But almost every night, he ate dinner alone. Thomas brought the check. "Bad day at work, sir?" he asked. Julian forced a small smile. "Just tired. The Hamilton merger is keeping me busy." But that wasn't the real problem. The real problem was how lonely he felt when he went home. His big, beautiful apartment was always quiet, with no laughter or warmth. After paying, Julian stepped outside into the freezing cold. The valet was bringing his car when he saw her, a woman sitting against the building, trying to stay warm. Most nights, Julian would have walked past without thinking. There were many homeless people in the city, and his charity already donated money to shelters. But tonight, something made him stop. She wasn't begging or holding a sign. She just sat there, her face partly hidden under layers of scarves. But Julian saw her eyes, bright, sharp, and filled with determination. Before he could change his mind, he walked up to her. "Excuse me," he said gently. "Would you like to come inside where it's warm? Maybe have something to eat?" The woman looked up. Suspicion filled her eyes. "I'm not looking for charity," she said. Her voice was clear and had a slight southern accent. "It's not charity," Julian replied. "Just one person offering another a warm meal on a cold night." She studied his face for a long moment, then slowly stood up. "One meal. That's it." Inside, Thomas raised an eyebrow but didn't say anything as he led them to Julian's usual booth. Julian ignored the curious stares from other diners. Once seated, the woman slowly unwrapped her scarves. Julian tried not to stare. Even with dirt on her face and exhaustion in her eyes, she was beautiful. High cheekbones, full lips, and deep green eyes. "I'm Julian," he said, holding out his hand. She hesitated before shaking it. "Amelia." "Nice to meet you, Amelia. Order whatever you'd like." Amelia picked up the menu. Her hands trembled slightly. "I haven't seen prices like these since," she stopped herself. "The pasta will be fine." "The pasta here is excellent," Julian agreed, signaling Thomas to take the order. After ordering, silence fell between them. Julian didn't know why he had invited her to dinner. It wasn't like him at all. "Why are you doing this?" Amelia finally asked, tracing the tablecloth with her fingers. Julian thought about it. "I'm not sure. Most people want something," she said. "I'm not most people." A small, almost amused smile crossed her face. "Clearly." When the food arrived, Amelia ate slowly and carefully, like someone who was once used to good meals. Julian was curious. "How long have you been?" He hesitated. "On the streets." Amelia finished for him. 8 months. And before you ask, no, it's not because of drugs or alcohol. I wasn't going to assume that. Everyone does. She took a sip of water. Life can fall apart really fast when the wrong person decides to destroy you. Her voice was bitter. "I understand more than you think," Julian said quietly. Amelia's eyes met his. "Do you?" Before he could answer, she excused herself to the restroom. Julian watched her go, wondering about her story. When she returned, he made a decision that even surprised himself. "Amelia, I have a guest apartment in my building. It's empty. You could stay there tonight, get out of the cold, take a real shower." Her guard went up instantly. "I told you, I'm not looking for." "It's not what you think," Julian interrupted. "The apartment has its own entrance. You'd have complete privacy. I don't expect anything in return." Amelia narrowed her eyes. "Why would you offer that to a stranger?" Julian ran a hand through his salt and pepper hair. "Because it's 15 degrees outside and getting colder. because you don't seem like someone who made bad choices, just someone who had bad luck, and because I can help without it costing me anything." Amelia stared at him for a long moment. "One night," she finally said, "and I leave in the morning." "Deal." The drive to Julian's building was silent. He parked in the garage and led her to the private elevator. The apartment was small but very nice. "Bathrooms through there," Julian said. "Clean towels are in the cabinet. The fridge is stocked. There's a toothbrush and toiletries in the drawer." Amelia stood in the middle of the room, looking overwhelmed. "This is your idea of a guest apartment?" Julian shrugged. "I'll be upstairs. If you need anything, use the house phone. Otherwise, I'll check on you in the morning." As he turned to leave, Amelia called out, "Julian?" He looked back. "Thank you," she said, her voice catching slightly, as if she wasn't used to saying those words. "You're welcome, Amelia." In his penthouse, Julian poured himself a drink and wondered what had come over him. He had spent 20 years making smart business decisions, not impulsive ones. But something about Amelia had touched a part of him he thought was long gone. The next morning, Julian knocked on the guest apartment door. He half expected it to be empty, but to his surprise, Amelia answered. She was wearing the same clothes, but she looked different. Her face was clean, her dark hair damp from a shower, falling in waves over her shoulders. Without the dirt and exhaustion, she was even more beautiful. "Good morning," he said, momentarily speechless. "Morning." She stepped back to let him in. "I was just about to leave." The apartment was spotless. The bed was made, the towels were folded. "Did you sleep well?" "Better than I have in months." Amelia picked up her small bag. "Thank you, Julian. Not many people would do what you did." "Don't go," he said suddenly. Amelia froze. "Excuse me?" Julian took a deep breath. "I have a job offer for you." Her expression turned wary. "What kind of job?" "My housekeeper quit last month. The job comes with an apartment in the building. It would help you get back on your feet." Amelia frowned. "You don't know anything about me. I know you kept this place cleaner than my cleaning service does. I know you have good manners and an education. The rest, you can tell me when you're ready." After a long moment, Amelia nodded. 1 month trial. Deal. Julian reached out his hand, and they shook on it. Neither of them knew that their lives were about to change forever. Across the city, in a big fancy office that looked over the water, Maxwell Hartman put down his phone with a big smile. His private detective had finally found her. "Did you find our little bird?" asked Regina Hartman as she walked into the office without knocking. Maxwell turned his chair to face his wife. "Yes, I did. Our dear Amelia has been hiding right here in Boston the whole time." Regina's perfect face, smooth from all her beauty treatments, couldn't hide her anger. "That little gold digger thought she could take what belongs to us and disappear? I want everything back." "Patience, my dear," Maxwell said with a cold smile. "First, we find out what she did with the proof. Then we take care of her for good." Regina's red lips curled into a mean smile. She should never have messed with the Hartmans. "No," Maxwell agreed as he looked out at the snowy city, "and now she's about to find out what that really means." Meanwhile, in Julian's building, Amelia was unpacking her small bag in her new apartment. Her hands shook as she pulled out a tiny flash drive from a secret pocket in her backpack. "They can't find this," she whispered to herself, "no matter what." She looked around the room for a safe place to hide it. Finally, she found a small tier under the couch cushion. She pushed the flash drive deep inside. Then she took a deep breath. For the first time in months, she let herself feel a little hope. But she knew better than anyone how quickly hope could be crushed. Julian Prescott seemed different from the other rich men she had met. But so had Maxwell Hartman until he showed her his true self. "Just 1 month," she reminded herself. "That's all I need to figure out my next move." But as she looked out the window at the bright city, she wondered if she had just made another big mistake. 2 weeks passed quickly. Amelia got used to her job as Julian's housekeeper faster than she thought. Every morning, she arrived at his fancy apartment at exactly 8 a.m. to make his breakfast. "You don't have to cook for me," Julian said on the first day. "The job is just cleaning and organizing." Amelia smiled. "I like cooking. Besides, you're too thin. Someone has to make sure you eat properly." One morning, Julian walked into the kitchen. The smell of fresh coffee and blueberry pancakes filled the air. He stopped in the doorway and watched as Amelia moved around the kitchen, looking comfortable. She wore simple black pants and a blue shirt she had bought with her first paycheck. Her hair was tied back in a loose ponytail. She looked very different from the tired woman he had met on the street. "Good morning," he said. Amelia turned and smiled. "Morning, the coffee is ready." As Julian sipped his coffee, he watched her closely. In 2 weeks, he had learned very little about her past. Whenever he asked personal questions, she changed the subject. "These pancakes are amazing," he said between bites. "Where did you learn to cook like this?" "My grandmother," Amelia answered, surprising him. She believed every Southern woman should know how to cook. "So you're from the South?" Amelia nodded. "Georgia. But I haven't been back in years." It was the most personal thing she had told him since she arrived. Julian wanted to ask more, but he didn't want to scare her away. Instead, he looked at his watch. "I have a charity event tonight, the annual Children's Hospital Gala. I saw your tuxedo on the bed. I'll make sure it's pressed before you go." "Actually," Julian hesitated, "I was wondering if you'd like to come with me." Amelia froze. "As your housekeeper?" "As my guest," he said quickly. "These events are so boring alone. I don't have anything nice to wear. There's a boutique downstairs in the building. You can pick out anything, and they'll put it on my account." Amelia shook her head. "Julian, I can't accept that. It's too much. Think of it as a bonus for saving me from hiring from Mrs. Peterson's agency. They wanted to charge me double what I'm paying you, and none of their housekeepers could make pancakes like these." His joke didn't work. Amelia looked serious. "Why are you really doing this?" Julian set down his coffee. "Because I like spending time with you. That's all." Their eyes met, and neither of them spoke for a moment. Then Amelia looked away. "I'll think about it." Julian nodded. "Amelia, everyone deserves a second chance at happiness. Even you." After he left, Amelia sat at the kitchen table. His words echoed in her mind. Happiness felt like something she couldn't afford, not with Maxwell and Regina looking for her. The smart thing to do was say no, save her money, and leave soon. But as she washed the dishes, she found herself wondering what it would feel like to spend just one night at a fancy event with a kind man like Julian. "Just one night," she whispered. "What harm could it do?" That afternoon, Amelia went to the boutique. The saleswoman, Martina, greeted her warmly. "Mr. Prescott called ahead. Let's find you something amazing." After trying on many dresses, Amelia stood in front of the mirror wearing a long emerald green gown that matched her eyes. The dress was simple but elegant. It made her feel beautiful. "This is the one," Martina said. "You look breathtaking." For the first time in a long time, Amelia felt a little bit like her old self. "I'll take it." Back in her apartment, Amelia got ready, but doubt filled her mind. Was she making a mistake? What if someone from Maxwell's world saw her there? Her eyes landed on the couch where the flash drive was hidden. That was her real mission. "Just one night," she said firmly, then back to the plan. That evening, Julian knocked on her door. When she opened it, he was speechless. Her soft curls framed her face, and her makeup brought out her natural beauty. But it was her eyes that amazed him, the confidence he hadn't seen before. "You look absolutely stunning," he said. Amelia blushed. "Thank you. You look handsome too." On the way to the hotel, Amelia grew quiet. Her hands were tense in her lap. "We don't have to stay long," Julian assured her. "Just enough to show support. I'm just not used to these things anymore." "Anymore? So you used to?" Amelia looked out the window. "In another life." At the gala, the ballroom sparkled with lights and fancy decorations. Rich people filled the room. An older woman in diamonds called out, "Julian, you made it!" "Mrs. Winthrop, lovely to see you." Julian smiled. "This is Amelia?" Mrs. Winthrop raised an eyebrow. "Julian rarely brings guests. Are you new to Boston?" Before Amelia could answer, Julian said, "She recently joined my household." Mrs. Winthrop looked surprised. "How modern of you, Julian." As she walked away, Amelia whispered, "You didn't have to tell her I work for you." "I don't care what people think," Julian said. "Besides, this is temporary, right?" Amelia looked away. "Yes, temporary." But across the room, a man watched them closely. He took out his phone, snapped a photo, and made a call. "It's her," he said. "She's with Julian Prescott." Maxwell Hartman's cold voice answered, "Find out more. Don't do anything yet." Outside, Julian turned to Amelia. "You're safe with me." For the first time, Amelia wanted to believe him, and when he leaned in for a kiss, she didn't pull away. Amelia and Julian looked at each other. For a short moment, Amelia wanted to believe him. Julian's face was very close to hers. He looked at her in a kind and honest way, different from most men she had met before. Slowly, he leaned forward and their lips touched in a soft kiss. A warm feeling spread through Amelia's chest. When they pulled away, she felt out of breath and a little confused. "I'm sorry," Julian said. "I shouldn't have done that." "No," Amelia said quickly. "Don't say sorry. It's just complicated." "I have time to listen to complicated things," Julian said. Amelia looked at him. She wanted to trust someone after being alone for so long. "Julian, there are things about me you don't know. Things that might make you wish you never met me." "Tell me," he said. Before Amelia could answer, Julian's phone rang. He looked at it and sighed. "It's my assistant. It might be about the Tokyo Simone opening. I have to take this." Julian stepped away to answer the call. Amelia watched him, feeling unsure. The kiss had made her feel something new, hope, love, and maybe even happiness. But those feelings were dangerous for her. She knew that getting close to Julian would only bring trouble. Julian came back looking serious. "There's an emergency at work. I need to go." "Of course," Amelia said. She felt both relieved and sad at the same time. "My driver can take you home," Julian said. "I'll get a taxi to the office." "I don't mind waiting," she offered. Julian shook his head. "This could take hours, but we can finish our conversation later." Amelia nodded. She knew the moment had passed. Maybe that was for the best. As she sat in the car going home, Amelia touched her lips. She could still feel Julian's kiss. For the first time in months, she felt something other than fear. But it scared her. "He deserves someone better," she whispered to herself. "Someone without my past." But deep down, she knew she was falling for Julian, even though she tried not to. And that was dangerous. Across town, Julian sat in his office, staring at his computer. The so-called emergency had been small. His team had handled it easily, but he had needed time to think. Kissing Amelia had been a surprise, even to him. It wasn't part of his plan, but he didn't regret it. There was something about her that he couldn't ignore. His phone buzzed. It was a message from his old friend, Detective Simon Grant Martinez. "Got the background check you asked for? We need to talk." "Not over the phone." Julian frowned. He had asked Simon to look into Amelia's past, just to be safe. But Simon's message sounded serious. Had he found something bad? Julian wanted to trust Amelia, but he also needed to protect himself. As the sun rose over Boston, Julian made a decision. He would meet Simon and find out the truth. What he didn't know was that a man named Maxwell Hartman was already making plans. By that night, both Julian and Amelia would be in danger. The next morning, Julian met Simon at Rosie's Diner, a small restaurant that rich people never visited. Simon was a tough-looking man with years of experience as a police officer. He placed a folder on the table. "Thanks for meeting me," Julian said, handing Simon a coffee. "You look tired," Simon said. "Late night? What did you find?" Julian asked. Simon opened the folder but didn't let Julian see it yet. "Your Amelia isn't who she says she is," Julian felt nervous. Explain. Her real name is Lillian James. Until 8 months ago, she worked for Maxwell Hartman. The real estate guy, I've met him at events. He seemed sneaky. That's putting it lightly, Simon said. Hartman is involved in dirty business, bribery, money laundering, all kinds of crime. We could never prove it. Then, 8 months ago, his assistant disappeared, along with some important files. You mean Amelia? Simon nodded. 2 days after she vanished, someone sent the government a tip about Hartman's crimes. They started investigating him. You think Amelia sent the tip? Most likely, Simon said. And if she did, she's in danger. Hartman doesn't forgive people who betray him. Julian felt his stomach twist. Is she wanted by the police? No, Simon said. The charges against her were dropped last month, probably fake from the start. But Hartman is still looking for her, and he's not using legal ways to find her. Simon slid a photo across the table. It showed Maxwell Hartman and his wife, Regina. They looked dangerous. If Amelia took something from them, she's in big trouble, Simon said. Julian thought about how scared Amelia had been at the gala. She told me it was complicated. That was an understatement. Be careful, Julian, Simon warned. This is bigger than you think. Thanks, Simon. I owe you. When Julian got home, he found Amelia cleaning his bookshelves. She wore jeans and a t-shirt, her hair tied back. She looked beautiful even like that. Good morning, she said with a smile. There's coffee in the kitchen. Amelia, Julian said, can we talk? Her smile faded. Of course. They sat at the kitchen table. About last night, Julian said. I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable. You didn't, she said. It was nice, but... You pulled away, Julian said, because of Maxwell Hartman? Amelia's face turned pale. She stood up quickly, knocking over her coffee. How do you know that name? I had you checked out, Julian admitted. I needed to know the truth. You investigated me? Her voice was barely a whisper. I had to protect myself. Of course you did, Amelia said, sounding bitter. I should have known. She moved toward the door, but Julian blocked her way. Amelia, wait. I can help. No one can help me, she said. And now you're in danger too. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. They both froze. Julian checked the security camera. A man held a big bouquet of flowers. Delivery for Lillian James, the man said. Amelia went pale. Don't open it, she whispered. No one knows I'm here under that name. Julian pressed the intercom. There's no one here by that name. You have the wrong address. The man hesitated, then walked away. But Julian could tell something was wrong. He wasn't just a delivery man. They found me, Amelia whispered. I have to go. Running isn't the answer, Julian said. Where is the evidence you took from Hartman? In my old apartment, hidden in the couch. Get it, Julian said. Pack what you need and meet me in the garage in 10 minutes. Amelia hesitated. What are you doing? Something risky, Julian said, but I won't let Hartman win. While Amelia went to get the small memory stick, Julian made some quick phone calls. First, he called his lawyer and told him to delay the police. Then, he called his pilot and told him to get the company jet ready to leave right away. Finally, he called his bank and told them to bring a big amount of cash to the airfield. In the garage, Julian moved their bags to a car that wouldn't stand out, a black SUV with dark windows. When Amelia came back, holding the memory stick tightly, Julian was already sitting in the driver's seat. Where are we going? She asked as she got into the car. My family has a cabin in Vermont, Julian said. It's far away, and no one will find us there. We'll be safe while we figure out what to do next. Julian, you don't have to do this, Amelia said. This is my problem, not yours. Julian looked at her seriously. The moment the police came to my office with a warrant, it became my problem too. Besides, I'm not just doing this for you. What do you mean? Amelia asked. If Maxwell Hartman is as bad as you say, he needs to be stopped. I've spent my whole career following the rules while men like him cheat and get away with it. It's time someone stands up to him. Amelia stared at him. You barely know me. Why are you risking everything? Julian started the car. Maybe I'm tired of playing it safe. Maybe I see something in you worth fighting for. Or maybe I just really don't like Maxwell Hartman. As they drove out of Boston, Amelia looked out the window, watching the city disappear. I never meant to drag you into this. You didn't drag me, Julian said. I jumped in on my own. He reached over and held her hand. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. His warm hand around hers made her feel safe for the first time in a long while. Maybe, just maybe, she wasn't alone anymore. Meanwhile, in his big office with a view of the water, Maxwell Hartman was very angry. He slammed his fist on his desk. "What do you mean they're gone?" he shouted into the phone. A nervous voice answered, "The police went to Prescott's office, but he wasn't there. His apartment is empty too." "Find them," Maxwell shouted, his face red with anger. "That memory stick cannot reach the police." "Yes, sir," the man on the phone said. "What about your contact at the police department?" "He already did his job by getting the warrant. Now, do yours before I find someone else." Maxwell hung up just as Regina walked into the room. She looked fancy as always in her expensive clothes. "Problems, darling?" she asked. "Our little bird has flown away again, with Prescott's help." Regina tapped her nails on the desk. "Julian Prescott? Interesting. I wouldn't have thought he had it in him." "He's always been a self-righteous fool," Maxwell muttered, "but he's making a big mistake helping Amelia." "Maybe we can use this," Regina said. "Prescott cares a lot about his reputation. He runs a big company with billions of dollars. If we can ruin his name, we can bring him down." Maxwell's angry face turned into a sneaky smile. "You're right. If we can't catch them, we'll make them come to us." "How?" Regina asked. "By attacking what he cares about most, his reputation." The next morning, when Julian and Amelia arrived at the cabin in Vermont, a big newspaper in Boston had a shocking front page story. "Top investment manager runs away with criminal." The article made it seem like Julian had done something bad. By lunchtime, Julian's phone was full of messages from clients, board members, and reporters. He ignored them all. He only cared about keeping Amelia safe and figuring out their next move. The cabin was small but cozy, surrounded by tall trees and big mountains. After they settled in, Julian made a warm fire while Amelia made some food. "We should look at what's on the memory stick," Julian said as they sat by the fire with hot coffee. Amelia hesitated, then nodded. She handed it to him. "It's locked with a password. It's Marigold 27, my grandmother's favorite flower and her birthday." Julian put the memory stick into his laptop. As he looked at the files, his face became serious. "This is worse than I thought. Hartman paid off 3 judges, a senator, and 2 high-up government officials." "There's more," Amelia said softly. "Keep looking." Julian found proof that Maxwell Hartman was stealing money and blackmailing other businesses. "How did you get all this?" he asked. Amelia stared into the fire. "I was his assistant for 3 years. He trusted me too much. At first I ignored it, but then..." "Then what?" Julian asked. "I heard Maxwell and Regina talking about a man named David Mercer. He was a city inspector who wouldn't take bribes. 3 days later he was killed in a robbery." "You think they had him killed?" Julian asked. "I know they did. I heard Regina tell Maxwell the problem had been handled permanently." Julian put his arm around her. "Why didn't you go to the police?" "I was scared. I needed proof at that, so I started saving files and recording conversations. Then one night I heard Maxwell say they were going to take care of me the next day, so I ran with as much evidence as I could." "You did the right thing," Julian said, "but now we have to finish this. We need to give this to the right people." "Who?" Amelia asked. "Maxwell has people everywhere." Julian thought for a moment. "Not everywhere. I have a friend in the FBI in New York. We'll take this to her." "When?" Amelia asked. "I have tomorrow. Tonight we rest," Julian said, staring into the fire. "Hartman won't stop easily." Amelia leaned against him. "I've been running for 8 months. At least now I'm not running alone." Outside, the snow started falling, covering their tracks, but someone was watching them from the trees. A dark figure pulled out a phone and sent a message, telling Maxwell Hartman exactly where they were. The next morning, Amelia woke up early and stared out the window with her coffee. Julian walked up beside her. "You're up early," he said. "I couldn't sleep," she said. "The news is bad. They're calling you a fugitive. Your company's stock dropped a lot." Julian sighed. "I expected this. Hartman wants to force us out." "Well, it's working," Amelia said sadly. "Your life is falling apart because of me." "No," Julian said firmly. "Because of him. There's a difference." Julian checked his phone. His lawyer had sent a message. "Board meeting today. They might fire you as CEO. Call me now." Julian turned to Amelia. "I need to make a call." She nodded. "I'll give you some privacy." Julian called his lawyer. "Julian, where are you?" the lawyer asked angrily. "The board is panicking. The news about you and Amelia looks really bad." "It's all lies," Julian said. "Hartman is behind it." Julian explained everything about Hartman's crimes. The lawyer sighed. "Julian, you've really gotten yourself into trouble." "I need 24 hours, Julian said. "Did you tell the board I'm working on a big case of fraud? It will help the company in the end." "That's a big promise," the lawyer warned. "I intend to keep it." After the call, Amelia stood in the doorway. "You should go back and save your company," she said. Julian shook his head. "No, we stick together." Amelia's voice shook as she spoke. "You've lost almost everything because of me. Your company, your reputation." Julian stepped closer to her. "Those are just things, Amelia. Companies can be built again, reputations can be fixed, but finding someone special, someone worth fighting for, that's rare." Tears filled Amelia's eyes. "But you barely know me." Julian gently touched her face. "I know enough. I know you risked everything to tell the truth. I know you have been running for months instead of giving up. And I know that when I'm with you, I feel more alive than I have in years." They stood in silence for a moment, his words hanging between them. Then Amelia leaned forward and kissed him. It was a kiss full of longing, fear, and hope. When they pulled away, Julian rested his forehead against hers. "We'll get through this together." Suddenly, a sharp knock at the door made them freeze. They exchanged nervous glances. "Are you expecting anyone?" Amelia whispered. Julian shook his head and moved to the window. He peeked through the curtain. A man in a park ranger uniform stood outside, looking impatient. "It's a ranger," Julian said, relaxing a little. "Should we answer it?" Julian thought for a moment. "I'll talk to him. Stay back, just in case." He opened the door slightly, keeping his body in the way. "Can I help you?" The ranger smiled, but his eyes didn't. "Sorry to bother you, sir. We've had reports of a bear in the area. Just checking to make sure everyone is safe." Something about the man didn't feel right to Julian. His instincts screamed danger. "Thanks for the warning. We'll be careful." Julian started to close the door. The ranger suddenly pushed his foot in the way. "Actually, there's one more thing." He reached toward his jacket. Julian reacted fast. He shoved the door hard, knocking the man backward. Then he slammed and locked it. "He's not a ranger," Julian said urgently. "Get the flash drive. We need to leave. Now." Outside, the fake ranger was already on his phone. "They're here. Both of them. Send backup." Julian and Amelia moved quickly. They grabbed only the most important things: the flash drive, phones, wallets, and jackets. Julian peeked out the back window. The man was circling toward the rear of the cabin. "The SUV is too obvious," Julian said. "We'll go on foot until we reach the main road." "There's a hiking trail behind the cabin," Amelia remembered. "It leads to a small town." Julian nodded. "It's about 5 miles through the woods. Can you make it?" Amelia's eyes were determined. "Watch me." They slipped out the side door and ran for the trees. The snow was deep, slowing them down, but they kept moving. Voices shouted behind them. The bad guys had realized they were gone. "Keep moving," Julian urged. "Don't look back." For nearly an hour, they pushed through the snowy forest. Amelia stumbled a few times, but Julian caught her. Their breath made little white clouds in the cold air. "We need to stop," Amelia gasped. "Just for a minute." Julian scanned the area. There, he pointed to some big rocks. We can rest there and check where we are. They hid behind the rocks, catching their breath. Julian pulled out his phone. The signal was weak, but it worked. He called his detective friend, Simon. "We need help," Julian said. "People are after us, and we have important evidence." "Where are you exactly?" Simon asked. Julian described their location. "We're heading to Greenfield, the town near my cabin." "That's at least a 3-hour drive from Boston," Simon said, sounding worried. "I can call the local police." "No," Amelia interrupted. "We don't know who's working for Hartman." Simon was silent for a moment. "Good point. Okay, keep moving toward town. Find a place with lots of people. I'll see if I can get the FBI involved." "We'll call when we get there," Julian promised. Just as they got ready to move, a branch snapped nearby. Voices were getting closer. "This way," Julian whispered, pulling Amelia down into a small ravine. They crouched behind a fallen tree, hardly breathing, as footsteps crunched in the snow above them. "They can't have gone far," a rough voice said. "The woman will slow them down," another voice answered. "Hartman wants them alive." "And Prescott?" A cold laugh. "He didn't say what shape Prescott has to be in, just alive enough to sign some papers." Julian and Amelia exchanged worried glances. These men weren't just hired goons. They were here to take them back to Hartman. "We need to leave the trail," Julian whispered. "Yet they expect us to go straight to town. But where else can we go?" Amelia asked. "There's an old hunting lodge 2 miles east," Julian said. "My father used to take me there. It might have a radio or phone." "Lead the way," Amelia said, her determination back. They left the path and pushed through deep snow and thick bushes. It was harder without a trail, but at least they weren't being followed. After an hour, they spotted the lodge, a small, empty-looking wooden cabin covered in snow. "Stay here," Julian told Amelia, leaving her hidden in the trees while he checked inside. Once he was sure it was safe, he waved her forward. Inside, it was cold and musty, but still okay. A ham radio sat on a shelf with some emergency supplies. "Does that thing work?" Amelia asked. Julian checked. "It has power. Let me try." While Julian worked on the radio, Amelia looked at their supplies, a first aid kit, canned food, matches, and blankets. Simple things, but they felt like gold right now. "I've got something," Julian said. "I think someone can hear us." He spoke clearly into the radio. "We need help. 2 people stranded. Dangerous men chasing us. Location, Ridgeline Hunting Lodge, Green Mountain area." A crackly voice answered. "Message received. Help is on the way. ETA 30 minutes. Amelia let out a breath. 30 minutes? We might actually make it. Julian took her cold hands in his. When this is over, when Hartman is in jail and we're safe, I want to start over. With you. Amelia looked at him, hope and fear mixed in her eyes. You could still lose everything because of me. Julian squeezed her hands. But I found something more important. I found you. A loud noise outside made them jump. A helicopter was landing nearby. That was fast, Julian frowned. Too fast. Amelia's face turned pale. You don't think... Before she could finish, the door burst open. Armed men stormed in, followed by Maxwell Hartman, looking rich and smug in his fancy coat. How sweet, Maxwell said with a smirk. The billionaire and the thief, finding love in the woods. Regina will be so jealous. Julian stepped in front of Amelia. It's over, Hartman. The evidence is already sent to the authorities. Maxwell smiled coldly. I doubt that. You've been too busy running. One of his men searched the room. Nothing, sir. Maxwell's smile disappeared. He grabbed Amelia's arm and twisted it. Where is it? Through clenched teeth, Amelia answered, You'll never find it. The radio made a loud noise. Lodge, this is Sheriff Blackwood. We are coming to your place. We will be there in 5 minutes. Over. Maxwell's face became serious. We don't have much time, he said. He pointed at his men. Take them both. We will talk somewhere else. Julian and Amelia were pulled up roughly. Julian looked at Amelia. She looked down, so he followed her eyes. He saw something in her hand. It was a small flash drive. She had kept it safe the whole time. Julian thought fast. He pretended to trip and fell onto the radio table. While everyone was distracted, Amelia quickly hid the flash drive under the floorboards. Maxwell was angry. "Enough, move," he shouted. Outside, a helicopter was waiting. Its big blades were spinning slowly. The guards pushed Julian and Amelia toward it. Snow covered the ground and the cold wind blew hard. Then they all heard sirens in the distance. Maxwell turned his head sharply. He looked angry. "Faster!" he yelled. He pushed Amelia toward the helicopter. Julian saw a chance. Maxwell was looking at the sirens, so Julian hit a guard with his shoulder. The guard fell, and his gun fired into the air. "Run!" Julian shouted to Amelia. Everything became wild. Amelia broke free and ran toward the trees. Maxwell tried to grab her but missed. The guards raised their guns, but Maxwell shouted, "Don't shoot! I need her alive." Nobody noticed the police cars until they suddenly appeared in the clearing. 2 sheriff's cars and a black unmarked car stopped quickly. Officers jumped out with their guns ready. "Police! Freeze!" one officer shouted. Maxwell's men didn't know what to do. They looked at each other, unsure if they should listen to Maxwell or the police. Julian used this moment to tackle Maxwell to the ground. Maxwell was furious. "You ruined everything," he growled. "No," Julian said. "You did." Soon the officers surrounded them. From the black car, a woman stepped out. She wore a dark suit and had 2 FBI agents beside her. She looked at Maxwell. "Maxwell Hartman," she said in a firm voice. "I am Special Agent Isla Griffin from the FBI. You are under arrest for fraud, money laundering, and kidnapping." A police officer put handcuffs on Maxwell. He looked shocked. "This is crazy. Do you know who I am? My lawyers will stop you." Agent Griffin did not look scared. "We have been collecting proof against you for a long time. Your own assistant gave us the last piece of evidence we needed." As Maxwell was taken away, still shouting, Julian searched for Amelia. He saw her near a police car. A paramedic was checking her, and she had a blanket around her shoulders. Julian ran to her. "You're okay," he said, kneeling beside her. "Thanks to you," she said. She took his hand. Agent Griffin walked over. "We found the flash drive where you hid it, Miss James. Good job." "You got here just in time," Julian said, and Griffin nodded. "Detective Grant Martinez called me right after you did. We were already on our way when the sheriff heard your radio message." Amelia still looked unsure. "Is it really over?" she asked softly. "The investigation is just beginning," Griffin said. "But Maxwell is finished. We will need both of you to make official statements." Julian nodded. "Of course, anything you need." As they walked toward the police cars, Julian kept his arm around Amelia. "Are you ready to go back to real life?" he asked. Amelia looked at him. "What's left for you there? Your company? Your reputation?" Julian smiled. "I can fix my company. What matters most is that you are safe and the truth is out." She hesitated. "And what about us?" Julian's smile grew warmer. "That's up to you, but I want to see where this could go when we're not running for our lives." Amelia smiled back. "I'd like that too." 6 months later, Julian stood in a big boardroom. The room was full of important people from Prescott Investments, his company. He had just finished his presentation. "So," he asked, "any questions?" One board member, Richard Goldman, spoke first. "I think we all owe you an apology, Julian. You handled everything so well." Everyone nodded in agreement. Julian smiled a little. "Thank you, Richard. But the real hero is Amelia James. She was the brave one." After the meeting, Julian took the elevator down. Amelia was waiting for him in the lobby. She looked different now, stronger, happier. The fear in her eyes was gone. She had helped the FBI a lot, testifying against Maxwell and his people. Thanks to her, many of them were now in jail. "How did it go?" she asked as Julian walked over to her. "Exactly as I expected." He kissed her lightly. "Are you ready for lunch?" They walked through the busy city streets, holding hands. A few months ago, reporters had called them villains. Now they were seen as heroes. Maxwell and Regina Hartman were in jail, waiting for their trial. Their empire was falling apart. As they sat at their favorite cafe, Amelia said, I got a call from Agent Foster this morning. Regina agreed to testify against Maxwell to get a lighter sentence. Julian shook his head. No honor among thieves. Amelia smiled, then grew serious. Sometimes I still can't believe it's over, that we won. Julian reached for her hand. Believe it, and I won something even more important than the case. Oh, and what's that? Amelia asked, curious. Julian didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Amelia gasped as he opened it. Inside was a sparkling diamond ring. I found my greatest treasure the night I found you, he said softly. Not your knowledge or what you had, just you. Your courage, your heart. I don't want to spend another day worrying about losing you. Tears filled Amelia's eyes as he continued. Amelia James, will you marry me? Amelia didn't hesitate. Her voice was strong and sure. Yes, yes, I will. Julian slipped the ring onto her finger. As he did, he felt something he had never felt before, a true sense of happiness. Together, they had fought against danger and corruption. They had almost lost everything, but in the end, they found something much more valuable. Love, hope, a future together. Outside, the city moved on, unaware of the small, beautiful moment happening in a corner cafe. Julian kissed his fiancée and knew that he had found the greatest treasure of all. Thanks for watching. If you liked the story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Check out our other videos too. See you in the next one.